Greetings, you mighty champion. I'm Pastor Glenn Curry, and we're studying the blessing of the Lord that makes you rich. Proverbs 10:22. The Proverbs 10:22 says, "The blessing of the Lord, it makes you rich." So it's referring to the blessing, and it's going to make you rich. But if you don't know there's such thing as a blessing, you may never be rich. The blessing is the divine empowerment of God for you to succeed, I guess I can say, and thrive and prosper regardless of what's happening on the outside. In Proverbs 11, verse 11, it says, by the blessing of the upright, you and I, a city is exalted, but it's overthrown by the mouth of the wicked. So a city with all the gangs in it, all the terrorists in it, all the problem thieves in it and problem people can be restored by the blessing if it would come upon, if those people in authority would believe it. It says, by the blessing of the upright, you and I, and city leaders, and in governmental leaders, a city can be exalted. And I believe our nation can be exalted by the blessing. Ezekiel 44, verse 30 says, the first of the first fruit of all things, and every offering of everything, of every sort of offering, shall be the priests. You see, they had to tithe and give to support the priests so that they could keep up in the tabernacle in the Old Testament, in the temple, and do the religious things they were supposed to do. You shall give to the priests the first of your meat, or meal, I think it says, and that he may cause the blessing to be upon your house. So when you tithe and give, support the gospel, the blessing God commands now to be upon your household. I'm determined to cause the blessing to rest upon your life. The Apostle Paul wrote to the church in Rome and said that I am sure that when I come unto you, I will come in the fullness of the blessing. It actually says the fullness of the blessing of the gospel, Romans 15:29. So in the New Testament, the blessing is spoken of. I'm believing God that the blessing comes on me as I talk to you day by day, and that it's transferred into your life. I know I say a lot of, and I stall a lot trying to think of what I want to tell you next, and I could have that edited out. But I want to show you I'm just a regular guy, just like you. I put my pants on one leg at a time, just like you do. It just happens that God has called me and anointed me to help other people. I was a dead man on my way down to the pit below when God found me. Now, I'm sorry that yesterday I got off on teaching a little bit about the pre-Adamics in lesson 13, but it's a new day. Adam and Eve forfeited the blessing, and I want to look at the blessing in the area of godly authority, okay? When Adam and Eve failed to do what God commanded them to do, and they disobeyed God by eating of the forbidden fruit, there was a forfeiture, I could say, of the blessing. God would later, as you read the Bible, reinstate the blessing to certain people. The blessing was transferred from Adam and Eve. Now Satan was in control, and the earth was horrible. God was grieved he even made the earth. But the blessing came upon Noah and his sons, okay? And so God blessed Noah and his sons and gave them similar authority. If you read about that in Genesis 9, verse 1 and 2, it says, after the flood waters subsided, God blessed Noah and his sons and said unto them the same almost thing as Genesis 1:26 through 28, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth. It meant not just repopulate the earth, but make it look like it did before the flood, okay? And the fear of you and the dread of you shall be upon every beast of the field, and upon every fowl of the air, and upon everything that moves on the earth, and upon all the fishes of the sea. Into your hands, all this stuff is delivered, okay? So how did the earth look after Noah's flood? Maybe you can recall, or you could Google it, on Christmas Day 2004, there was something that occurred that was called the Indian ocean, earthquake, and tsunami. Okay? And it hit Sumatra and Indonesia and Thailand and all the small islands. Sometimes it's just buried islands in big waves. And so the history says it killed there was so many killed and so many unaccounted for. 280,000 people were either killed or unaccounted for. That means they were killed too. The coastlines, the low-lying areas, the islands were devastated by water and mud. Entire villages, and maybe you lived through that. Maybe you saw it on the news. I'm sure you can Google it. They probably have YouTube stories about it. Entire villages, cities were wiped out. Trees were uprooted. Modern buildings were demolished. And the hardest hit areas look like a description that God gave us in Genesis 1:2. The earth was without form and void, waste and wild. You should read Genesis 1:2 in the Message Bible. All right, how about the New Orleans tsunami or whatever it was, the hurricane called Hurricane Katrina? How did New Orleans look? And so that should give you an idea of what Noah and his sons encountered when they came off the ark. Dead bodies of animals and people everywhere. Houses demolished, cities broken down, trees uprooted, everything covered with mud and slime and sand. It was filthy. It was in that devastation that God told Noah to replenish the earth, bring it back to its former living condition, make it full, make it complete again, resupply it, restock it, supply what's lacking, and bring forth the fullness thereof, okay? Restore it to its former inhabitable state. Is that such a thing? All right. How could Noah and his sons accomplish such an insurmountable task? The answer is, you know what the answer is, the blessing. The blessing is a divine empowerment from God to have authority to succeed. Okay? That what you speak, what you believe and speak happens. The blessing is the divine empowerment to thrive under any circumstances. I would say that Noah and his sons had the worst circumstances than anybody, the worst task than anybody ever had. They didn't even have a garden around them like Adam and Eve did. They just had mud and goo. It would have been impossible for Adam and Eve and Noah and his sons to have physically created garden-like conditions after the devastation and chaos that they encountered. Bulldozers and earth movers weren't even invented back then. Hundreds of thousands of laborers would have been needed just to clear maybe 1 or 2 square miles, just a few square miles. But the blessing enabled Adam and his sons to change things, and the blessing will enable you to change things. It helped them by creating the same way God creates, with words. They must have spoken to the devastation, to the chaos, and ordered it to be restored to its former fruitfulness. All right, maybe your life looks like a mess, like the tsunamis, you know, in those islands, Thailand and so forth. And so you might think of it, your life as being, hey, my life, Pastor Glenn, is without form and void. It's a wilderness, Pastor Glenn. But God has given you His word and given you the authority through the blessing to decree order and to restore that which is damaged in your life and to create garden-like conditions in your life, okay? But you got to believe it. You got to buy into it. You got to hear the previous 13 lessons and start taking notes like you're going to Bible school, because I'm teaching you like you're a Bible student, okay? I'm not just telling you Jesus multiplied the bread. I'm telling you there's something in you. I'm Pastor Glenn. I'm fighting for you to win in life through Jesus Christ. Please like and subscribe below and make a great day in Jesus' name.